So, welcome everyone to the first of a series of Zoom recordings that Cindy Duke and myself, Marnie Richmond, are going to do. And we are calling this From Desperately Seeking Human to Embracing Humanoid. And if you don't know what that means, what's human, what's humanoid, I invite you not to stop listening, but just to stay with us because we're going to dive into what that is. And a great place to start is that whole concept of human and humanoid comes from something called access consciousness. And I came across access consciousness about, oh my goodness, 10 years ago, about 10 years ago. And everything in my world has changed and gotten greater since then. And just really simply, what access consciousness is, it's a set of tools and processes that are designed to assist you to change anything in your life that you would like to change in a way that's simple, easy, and dare I say, even fun. So the whole kind of concept of it is if there's things in your life that are working and you love them, keep them. This is not about letting go of anything. It's about keep everything that's working for you. But if you do have those places in your life where you just seem to keep hitting up against the same brick wall and you want something different, but you can't seem to make it happen, then along comes access consciousness and goes, hey, here's some tools that are really easy to use. If you'd like to use them, you can, and you might just see what changes in your life. So the whole concept of humanoid comes from access consciousness. So before we dive into that, Cindy, I would love to turn it over to you and just ask you about how did you find access consciousness and what's changed in your world since you have?
Everything, and it's unbelievable. Actually, it's like a whole new world. So it was about 3 years ago. I was in a massive car crash. And my life before that probably was a massive car crash. I always knew there was more. Like I always had a knowing. Um, there's more to life than this. And I was always seeking, but I was really an autopilot and I was just going through my life, getting through the week, making money, going out at the weekend, taking as much drink and drugs as I could possibly get from when I was like 17 to say 30. And I still always had these magical possibilities show up in my life that showed me, wow, a glimmer of this is possible. And then the crash happened and I just was brand new and I was rattled to the core. I was walking, talking, anxiety, panic attacks, probably depression now that I think of it. And I was just seeking and I was looking for anything that could create ease in my life. And I was doing my usual Reiki, which I love, but it was short term and just gave me a little bit of ease in the moment. And I was at a retreat, and in between being dunked in ice baths and pouring our depths of despair to each other, somebody said, hey, I had this thing last week called Access Bars. And I was like, Access Bars? And she was like, yeah, it was brilliant. And I was like, okay. And that matched what I was kind of always going towards. And I said, can I have the details? Can I have the lady's number? Can I have her name? And I didn't even ask anymore. I didn't ask what they didn't ask anything. I saw the smile on that woman's face and I said, that's what I want. And from there, I booked my first Access Bar session. It's crazy. I drove there in my Jeep and I was rattling from the car crash and whatever. I was trying to drink a smoothie and I was like driving to get to like it was 45-minute drive, and I dropped the smoothie all over the whole Jeep and all over me, and I was like, just keep going, just follow the energy, which I didn't know what I was doing at the time. who cares about the smoothie? Who cares about the cars? And we'll just keep going. And I got to my destination and I walked in the door and I saw this lady's like face and I just said, oh yeah. I just knew by looking at her, I'm in the right place. And she asked me a couple of questions and blew my whole world apart. I got up in the bed and I had my bars run and I just instantaneously, the anxiety, which I know now was awareness, just eased into my body. And I was just, for the first time since the crash, about 4 or 5 months, I stopped shaking inside.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. That's amazing. And if you're listening to this and you're not familiar with access consciousness or the bars, really simply, the bars are 32 points on your head. And receiving bars is you simply lie down on a massage table and somebody puts their hands on your head and they touch all those 32 points, and not all at once, of course. They do different positions around your head. And it's really a lot like, well, your own experience with it will be different. It's different for everyone. But what it's doing in your brain is it's disrupting all of those places where you get stuck and you can't stop the mind chatter, or you keep going down, spiraling down into the same negative thoughts or the same worry and anxiety, like you were saying, Cindy, or you just can't find that sense of ease or peace in your world because there's so much noise in your head. It disrupts all of that. And it's like hitting the delete button on everything that really doesn't serve you. Like delete, go away. And every time you get your bars run, it's just another level of that. It is, for me personally, the greatest thing I've ever discovered. And as you said, Cindy, I was very much a seeker too, and Reiki and all kinds of different spiritual modalities and personal development classes, reading books, and I would always find I'd get a minute of relief, but I had to work so hard for that minute of relief. And I would get tired of the work, and then I would just, next, what's next? And when I discovered the access consciousness bars, what was so different about it is there was zero work. I would lie down on a table, someone would touch my head, and I would wake up and go, everything looks different. The colors look brighter. I can't remember what I was worried about when I laid down on the table. So it's just opened up huge, huge space. And so if you're listening and you don't know what that is, you can Google access bars and it will come right up to the top, and you can find, there's people all over the world that offer sessions and teach classes. So greatest tool ever.
Ever.
Yeah. So from there, Cindy, like what was kind of the next thing after having your bar session in?
Everything. I just was so blown away that she gave me so much useful information on the day, and anything she gave me, I ran with. I looked up the podcasts, the blogs, the sites, everything, and like bit by bit, through everything, I found a little bit more of me and a bit more ease. And I just had something, when the mind chatter, the anxiety, the everything kind of started to creep in again. I just listened to a podcast, listened to something, book another session, and I just thought, this is a bit of me. This is a lot of me.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
And did you find you would listen to things and it was sort of that, I always knew this, but nobody ever said it. I always knew this, but nobody ever said it.
Massively. I one of the facilitators in Access, Glenys, I went onto her radio show and I watched one every single day. And that's supposed to be a weekly thing, but it was and every bit of information I got, I was aha, aha, aha. And I could apply it to so much in my life, and it just gave me a little bit of awareness into what actually was possible and what actually was happening.
Yeah. Were there any particular questions or things that were said that just really just like hit a chord for you?
Massively, who does it belong to?
Mm.
Um, when she first said, "Oh, 99.9% of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions aren't yours," I was like, "What the fuck is she talking about?"
Right? Yeah.
But then every time I had any glimmer of the heaviness, I just, who does it belong to? Is it mine? Someone else's? Something else's? And I really, really ran with that until the point where I really got an understanding of light and heavy. And to this day, it's like the biggest thing in my life. Everything is a question and everything is following the lightness.
Mm.
It's just not right now, it's so easy, but back then I had to learn.
It's a bit like learning a new language because it's so
Massively.
opposite of this world and what we're taught and what we're told, where
Yeah.
everything's about having the right answer and getting it right and not messing it up and not doing it wrong and judging ourselves and trying to attain the standard while being really certain we don't attain the standard and don't measure up and living in that reality, which is pure hell. But to
Yeah.
go beyond it requires a whole shift, what you just said so beautifully, of just starting to ask questions about absolutely everything. So instead
Yeah.
of going, my kids are always fighting, I'm sick of it, I've tried everything and I don't know what to do, you go, I wonder, hmm, I wonder what else is possible here. Not from just cliche saying, but from a true, I wonder what else is possible. I wonder if I hadn't decided this was going to go on forever and I don't know what to do about it. I wonder what I might discover. I wonder what I might know. And it changes everything, which
Yeah.
leads us very much to this humanoid conversation. So the
Mm.
founder of Access Consciousness, Gary Douglas, was getting on a plane one day and he was sitting and two people were getting into the row in front of him and there was this whole ordeal of the lady had the tray on the seat in front of her down and her purse on it, and the flight attendant was saying you need to put your purse under the chair and then you need to put the tray up, and it was something about her jacket was there, and so she, I don't remember the details, but she could not get to just a very simple, she needed to move her jacket, put her purse under the seat and put the thing up. It was a whole thing in her world. And Gary had this kind of going into her world and seeing how she was seeing things in the world, and he went, oh, she's human, there's actually two species on the planet, human and humanoid. Now if that sounds weird to you, that's okay, it sounded extremely weird to me when I heard it. And that's one of the things I'll say about Access. And one of the things that actually Gary says often, it's the weirdest, wackiest thing you will ever hear. And it works. And I have so many times I'll hear something. And as you said, when you were talking about who does this belong to, and 99.9% of our thoughts, feelings, emotions aren't ours, we're just picking it up. You're like, you guys are weird, man. What the fuck? But then you go, huh, strangely, a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Strangely, when I start to really play with that and ask the question, who does it belong to? I feel so much lighter. Well, human humanoid was similar for me. So I'm like, what do you mean two species on the planet, human humanoid? And basically, just a little more info. So humans are, the primary difference is humans judge everyone else and humanoids judge ourselves. So humans, they're right, everybody else is wrong. Humanoids are like, this isn't working. I'm sure it's me who fucked it up. It has
Yeah.
to be me. That's the primary kind of place that humanoids function from. So desperately seeking human to embracing humanoid is about how many, I'm going to say what it is for me, and then Cindy, I'm going to let you speak to it also. But how many of you listening to this are so dynamically good at judging you and finding what's wrong about you and looking for where you've failed and all the guilt and the shame and the all that goes with that, and how much have you and as humanoids, how much faster are you than everybody else on the planet? How much more quickly do you get things? How differently do you learn in school? How different are you? And how much have you tried to be the same as everyone else in an attempt to fit in? So that desperately seeking human is, I feel so wrong and different. I need to try to fix me. So I'm going to try to fit in with all these fuckers that I do not understand, but I'm going to try. So what would you say to that, Cindy? Because you came up with this sort of title. So what is that desperately seeking human to embracing humanoid for you?
It went from like trying to please family and friends and clients in my hairdressing business and everyone by being the image that I thought I was, of that what my old boss was, what my mom was, the pieces of everybody. And it was so fucking hard.
Yeah.
Pain all the time, stress all the time. Like just every day it was effort to having my bars run, having the body work, doing as much classes as I possibly could, to thinking, actually, I'm not that fucked up. I'm actually pretty cool. I'm actually pretty fast at this, and I enjoy this. Um, so why not do more of it? And slowly but surely being more and more of me. Slowly but surely at the time, but at the moment, no. I'm just, the biggest priority for me right now is me,
Mm.
nobody else. Just
Yeah.
me being me and changing the world.
Yeah. Well, and just that is so different point of view because we're actually told that we're supposed to make it about everybody else, which makes us miserable and them too. And it's not until we go, you know what? I'm actually going to include me in my life. I'm actually going to commit to me that things can start to change
Massively.
massively. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this first one up with what you just said. I'm not nearly as fucked up as I thought I was. I'm actually pretty cool. I'm actually
Yeah.
really good at all these things. And so in the next episodes, whatever you want to call them that we're going to do, let's dive into parenting and let's dive into all the different places in our lives where because we are different, we judge ourselves so dynamically. And if we stopped trying to seek human, which equals same as everyone else, and embrace what made us different, embrace what made us great, allowed ourselves to have our own point of view, even if it's different than anybody else's, and to choose along that rather than against it, how
Yeah,
much more fun would we be having? How much easier would our lives be? And what else would be possible?
totally.
Yeah. So thank you all for listening to this. And thank you, Cindy, for the conversation. And we will
Thank
be
you.
back very soon with more.
Thank
See you
you.
next time.